comic book,
Yes.
like Rising of the Dragon,
Yes. Yes.
and
What'd you think?
before you did was really good
Thank you.
because he's basically doing like from the movie 2017, the Power Ranger. Yeah, I
Mhm.
know you told me like a little bit more detail,
Yeah.
but that I don't know if the fan knows about it
Okay.
because people didn't tell me go, wait, Hector wrote a comic book? Yeah, yeah,
it,
that's
it,
what.
it, it, it happened very fast. Um, the idea didn't. The idea, of course, when the film came out in 2017, the film came out and it had a mixed reviews. I love the film, and I think it had a very with a beautifully well done cast that meshed well so together on film and off film, which really showed. And we didn't get a sequel. Sadly, we didn't get a sequel, and I was pretty bummed about it. And so were a lot of people, who enjoyed the film. We were teased that Green Ranger sequel at the end of the film. The after credit was the detention follow up scene, and the teacher is calling out Tommy Oliver's name, and it zooms into his desk, and his jacket's there, but he's not there. So we could have gotten that Green Ranger sequel if they would have greenlit a sequel for it. Sadly, we didn't get it. But the idea of what that could have been just popped in my head, and so many ideas, of what a sequel could have looked like. What could we have done? So I had written a script, and I wanted to make my own indie fan film of what a sequel could have been. I had gotten a suit made of what it could have looked like. Um, the concept art was designed by an artist out of Spain, and then I had got it actually made by a gentleman out of Mexico, Talarazo. And then after that, I was like, I got the suit, let me make the film. And I had so many ideas, and I was brainstorming, on a script. Then COVID happened, and it kind of shut down a lot of things where we couldn't really do as much. So I kind of felt stuck at a moment where I was like, well, now what can I do? And I was like, maybe I could turn this to a series, for YouTube and shoot it in parts. But then I was like, no, I don't feel like it's going to match the tone of the film if it goes from a film to a series. For me, at least, I was like, it's not clicking like that. I don't want, I didn't want that. Um, so I had came across an artist, another artist, and this artist is out of Costa Rica. Um, and I came across his artwork on Instagram. Brokenveil.art. Edgar Siles does an amazing job. And I have reached out and I was like, hey, listen, your art is beautiful. Are you currently accepting commissions, to collaborate on this idea for a comic? And he was like, I just have a spot opened up, someone canceled. So it was meant to be that I turned this into a comic book because I grew up with comic books. So many people grew up reading comic books because it's a way to preserve the story and reread it years down the line. And when I was a kid, when I was first introduced to comics, I had did my communion and we had family dinner, and my uncle had taken me to his parents' house, and he's like, I want you to see something. I was like, all right, cool. We went to the attic, and he had stacks and stacks of long boxes filled with comic books, where I skipped over dinner, and I was so infatuated with just going through the pages of so many comic books and stuff, and I was in awe. I was like, this is what I want when I get older. I want to be able to preserve all my comic books and pass that down for someone else to read and enjoy and all that stuff. So when the opportunity came up for me to collaborate with this artist, Broken Bill.art, I was like, it's meant to be. So him and I, we created issue number one of the comic. And for me, it was such a risk because I've never written a comic book before, so I give credit to so many who do that, and are trying to become comic artists. And whether it's story, whether they draw illustrations, or so much that goes into it, because a lot goes into it. Um, so this was a first venture for me, But I was like, I feel like I have, and I had friends who read the script and it was like, you have something special here, take the risk. So, I fully invested into Rise of the Dragon. There is no Kickstarter, there is no Indiegogo. I straight 100% fund the series, and then it's my way of giving back to the fans. For those who want to support it, I'm here for it. If it's not your cup of tea, that's great also. I hope you find something that does appeal to you. But, issue number one, I would have been happy if one or two people would have bought it, but we sold out. And I was like, whoa. I was like, okay. So we did a second printing, and the second printing sold out. So I was like, wow. I was like, okay, okay, okay. So I wrote out, the next two issues, and we're doing a limited series, 6 issues. And the second one, we were able to collaborate with, his last name escapes me, and I'm so sorry, but Raul, I forgot his last name, but he currently does the colorist for the Power Rangers comics with Boom now, and then also does just finished off of the Naruto TMNT comic that just rolled out. So he did the inking for that, which was amazing. And when we rolled out two, that sold out as well. So I'm like, I'm so blessed for anyone who just takes the time to support indie creators because, again, it could have been one or two people who just read it, great, and then moved on. But I have built a small community who wants to see the story continue, and I'm happy and I'm blessed to see those who want to see the story continue to flourish after a film that came out in 2017 and it's 2025 now. So for those who still want that Green Ranger sequel are looking at the comic for that. I just want to say thank you. We're working on issue number three. I posted the cover on my social page, so you can check that out. I'm working with the artist for the variant cover, and now we're getting to work. We're going to be working on the pages for issue number three. My plan is to do issue number three and four, and kind of release them a very, very small window in between them two. Excuse me, because I want to get this out to you guys. And again, I fund everything myself. There's no Indiegogo or Kickstarter, or it's kind of my gift to everyone else. So I 100% fund it myself. Because I'm just that passionate about it. And if you have this idea that just doesn't want to leave your head, it's meant to be there.
Yeah. I want to know how long is the deposit? How long the deposit go to like each one take you like a year to do it or
Yeah, issue number one took us about maybe like 6, 7 months, because it was the first time, I had found an artist and then the colorist. And then once that, then the pages get sent over to the person who puts the dialogue in there and does, the bubble work and the action sequences and writes in the dialogue. And then after that, the printing company. And then when you go to a printing company, you get test samples of what what the pages feel like. Do you want glossy or non-glossy? How does this color pop out on these pages, and you do a comparison. And then after that, you think of what the front, well, you have the front cover, what the back cover is going to look like. Are you going to do any credits? Are you going to do any advertisements in there? All that comes into play. And how many copies are you going to order? How many are people? How much do you think the window is of people that maybe have interest in them for it? So all that comes into play. So it kind of shifts hands a lot before it comes back to you. And I find that so joyful because I get to see the process myself, and I'm very big on behind the scenes stuff. And thankfully, Jason used to share so many behind the scenes stuff with me because I love seeing that stuff. I love seeing how films and shows are made, and how comics are made, and all the behind the scenes. And I would get to see photos, quick videos, and stuff. And I love how to watch how things are made because I love seeing how the gears are to make that beautiful engine just go.
so 6 months to do the first about the second comment.
The
Same
second comic goes by a little quicker because you already have, as long as everyone from the first works fluidly and you've adjusted to any errors that you feel, oh, that went along the way, the future issues will work out a little smoother because now you've established a printing company. Now you establish if this person is going to be the person who is going to, draw the pages, and this person's going to color the pages. I like this person's shading over this person, or how this person draws facial expressions compared to another person, or how this person is putting the words on the pages. Are they really aligning with how the character is being written? All those come into play. So as long as you find a team that works well together, then it's a lot more shorter time, because you can now give everyone the heads up of, hey, this is the window that we have available. Are we able to meet this window? How, and you should really say that between each person. This is the window that we have with the artist who draws, then the artist who colors and shades, and then the person who does the words, and then the printing company. You communicate all together. So as long as you're communicating with one another, and really responding back to feedback, and being involved every step of the way, it'll go by a lot quicker, as long as everyone's, fluid. But if you feel like, hey, listen, this printing company really didn't work out after the first one, that I needed to readjust, it's all about adjustments. But work what's best for you, and give yourself realistic expectational goals. Don't say, hey, I'm gonna announce my comic and it'll be out next week, but then there's still so much to do. So I won't personally announce anything until until I know 100% this is where it's at. Like, hey, I'm about 90% done, and I believe I have this window, available. Like the cover to issue number 3, I dropped it when it was already done already. I put out a teaser when I already had a base already out for it. So you want to know what you're working with before it's all done, because these fans invest into you, that you don't want to let them down. And I never want to let down the community that I've built over the years. I don't like, and some people are, hey, why don't you do Indiegogo or Kickstarter? And no offense to anybody who's done it before. What works for you works for you. Just me personally, I'm just not a fan of having the responsibility of someone else's finances in my pocket, and then just waiting for it to be done on my time and not theirs. And I feel bad because, and this goes with anybody. You work hard for your dollar, and I want to make sure it goes to something well worth it. So for me, I prefer to have my comic ready to ship before you buy. And for me, that works for me, but it might not work for another person. Everyone's situation is different, so go with what works for you, is the best, advice I'm gonna give.
Yeah, definitely. Like for example, like all the Power Ranger did, and the order,
Yeah,
like all the stuff, like people's away, and something happened,
yeah.
and and you get that hammer, you got hammer resilience to cover it, and the hammer police will come after you.
Yeah. That's all I need is one person didn't get my comic, and then one, two, Henry's coming for you, three, four. Henry's great. But I try to make sure, everyone gets, whoever places an order, I make sure, they get them in a timely fashion. And I inspect every single one of my comics before it goes to anyone else. Before I mail out a comic, before I bring them to my convention table, when the printing company delivers, all my copies of my comic, I go through every single one to make sure there's not a dent or a scratch in the corner, because I want everyone to be 100% happy with the product that they purchase from them. Because again, no one has to spend their hard-earned money on me, and I'm grateful for every single person who picks up a print at a convention, picks up a comic or a sticker, or just takes the time to say, hey, out of this whole convention, I just wanted to stop by and say hi. And I'm grateful for every single person who does that, because to me, I've been in this convention game for about 10 to 15 years. For me, I still think of myself as a regular person. I'm no one special.